What's up, guys? Today we have Nick Fuentes debating destiny and a bunch of feminists.
Women are more capable than anybody thought ever possible. Number one, they've contributed to things like defense, space, engineering, medicine, et cetera, et cetera. And then two, if you do want to trend back a little bit, that's fine, but we should still leave the opportunity for people to compete where they can so that we don't deprive all of ourselves of those talents and contributions to society, in my opinion.
Here's the problem.
I agree 100%
with
Destiny.
Hang on.
There.
We've heard from the pro-woman side and Destiny. I'm very disappointed. I thought you hated women like I did, but you're coming in here and telling us they should be rocket ship designers and building missiles and things like that.
He's not being menaced by their sexuality. You seem to be.
Right. He's not afraid of strong women. I know, because that's the basis.
Love strong women.
You seem to
God,
be
what a
afraid of
great
women,
God.
period.
So great. Oh my God.
I'm not afraid of them. I just simply hate them. And I thought Destiny was on the same page, but that's okay. So the thing is, and I said this with Lauren when she was on earlier, I don't think the problem is necessarily that women are working or even maybe the kind of work that women are doing. It really has to do with the segregation and the promotion of women in certain fields. The problem is the co-ed nature of what women are doing right now, that women are intermixed with men throughout the society. The problem is that women are pursuing career and education at the expense of marriage. And if you have a traditional view of sexuality and sexual morality, this is almost necessarily a problem. The more that women are educated, the more that women are in the workplace, the lower the fertility rate, the longer it takes for women to get married. This is a real problem for a society that's trying to retain sexual morality. It's a problem where men are supposed to express their sexuality in a virtuous way. And then also the problem is in some instances, the domains that women are in that I think are a total construct of affirmative action. I think that, if women want to be, researching or whatever, I think you create a women's division of that, like you have a women's division of sports and women's division of everything. I think the principal objection is not that women create value in the society. Women can create value in society a lot of ways. I think that primarily that is through child rearing. In the old days, they would answer the phones and be the secretaries and school teachers. And, I think that, again, when that's segregated, maybe that's appropriate. The question is maybe not necessarily could that be expanded to other things? I think the question is that being pushed to the detriment of motherhood? Is that being pushed to the detriment of regeneration of society? Is that being pushed too forcefully, artificially, or forced at all? And then the problem is when it's not segregated, does that create a problem with temptation, sexual assault, all this ambiguity that you see? Me Too movement, all of that is because of men and women working so closely together in the workforce. That's a source of adultery. That's a source of temptation.
Nick,
source of
I'm hearing a lot of You're
interrupting again. You're interrupting.
Yeah, I am interrupting.
Why are you
interrupting for like 10 minutes?
I hate interrupting both of you, but just to hear from anybody that we haven't heard from in a while on the left side.
Yeah, so I again will say that it's not the case that women were just answering phones or that historically women were just doing easy work. Women were working out in the farms. Actually, in fact, a large percentage of women still today in the global economy work in farms. And they have historically, and that's not easy work. These are 10-hour, 12-hour days. So it never was the case that women were not working or women were doing easy jobs. They were just doing different jobs than men. And when it came to things like farming, which is such a huge industry globally, that is just something that men and women both did, and children participated too.
But the farm is domestic.
I have to give a shout out to Destiny because he proved his point perfectly. He said that there was a Mott and Bailey going on, and that's exactly what Nick did because he started the conversation saying that we should enslave women, and now he's basically moved over to like mine and Lauren's Southern.
Yeah, they should be. I think they should be property essentially, but should they not be able to?
That's fine. That's good. But that's good. I love that. I like that. Right? We can attack the Mott and the Bailey. Okay, that's fine. So moving the conversation one step further. Okay, this is something that we have to recognize. We're not having a conversation right now about women's roles in society. We're having a conversation about the structure of society and whether or not we want a more liberal world order where people kind of have a right to choose what they want to do, or if we want to have a more Christian nationalist. I don't want to say fascist, but like, because I'm not trying to be insulting, but if we should have a world order where people are kind of forced to inhabit these gender roles that are building good Christian societies. And the reality is that insofar as we live in a democratic society, people ought to have that ability to choose the path that they think is right for them. If you want to build a Christian community and you want to build a Christian family, you have the right to do that. And this is what makes things like capitalism and liberalism so great. A lot of different structures can exist within that structure. It's very flexible. Whereas in a Christian nationalist structure, the more liberal world order couldn't exist at all because you guys would necessarily crush it through like legislation.
I totally disagree. I think currently the way we live is actually more of this sort of fascist sort of society where women are being told all the time, like, if you aren't working in the HR department, like, you will have no value. You're going to be depressed in 5 years. I think we actually have a more society trying to ingrain women not to want to pursue womanhood and family and doing all of these sort of things.
Well, if women,
I'm saying like more of that worldview he was discussing. I'm not saying personally I think it's fascism. I'm saying that's kind of the lens he put it out.
What I'm saying is that we, in our society, the model society that we're supposed to build, it might be the case today that we push people too far to the left. That might be the case. But the answer to that isn't that we need to shove everybody into families and say, hey, you're going to be an incubator for 15 children because that's your role, because you need to breed more for the white race, which is the kind of the point of view.
But the issue is like right now, like everyone's saying, like I talk to so many women and even men, the way in which they view having children is extremely toxic. They say your life is over. You have no freedom now.
Because
and
that's what it means. Because
like
that's what it means.
Thing.
No, that's what it means to have. That is
education.
That is So again,
that's what it means.
It doesn't have to mean your life is over and your freedom's over.
One toxic part.
Who has kids on this panel?
Just because Stephen,
I have kids.
Okay, yeah. So trust me, as an absentee father, I'm an expert on this. Okay.
Like children,
yeah. Okay. Hold on. So especially as a woman, but in most families, having children sets you on a different path in life. You do lose a lot of freedom, and you do lose the ability to do a lot of things you would have otherwise. Ask any man ever.
Yeah, but
let me finish my thing. Let me finish my statement. If you ask any man ever, okay, hey, do you want to give up the most important career years of your life to stay at home for 7 or 8 years to take care of a child? No man would ever accept that. Fuck no.
People like Destiny fuck themselves up with their own words. He doesn't realize that he just proved Nick's point. Why? Because a man can have a career and have a kid. Why? Because their wife should be at home taking care of the house and the kids. That is exactly Nick's point.
From 20 to 28, you want me to sacrifice my whole life? But that's the decision that we've kind of forced upon, or it's biologically forced upon women. You can't be surprised that given the opportunity to live another life, given the opportunity to pursue a life of your own, an identity independent of your family, that a lot of women would choose to do that. I don't think that's surprising. As a man, I totally understand that. And I think there are a lot of women that are coming to understand that as well. Women have made huge sacrifices because of the biological reality thrust upon them, where they have to sacrifice their life for men to be able to work and have a family. Women don't have the option to work and have a family. So given the ability to choose, I don't think it's that crazy that they would choose to do otherwise.
Yeah, I just think that
that's not my point. My point.
Stardust, just because she's been so patient. Go ahead, Stardust.
Yeah, I think also just the very fact, Marie, that you're kind of reinforcing something that's pretty toxic that actually leads to a lot of women feeling like they don't fit in with motherhood because they feel like they should be loving every part of motherhood. They should be loving their children when really women get sick of their children. They want to get out of the fucking house. Being around children 24/7 is driving them nuts, and that's totally normal as a parent. Like at a certain point, it's going to drive you up the wall.
Yeah.
Wait, I don't remember arguing that like you have to love every part of anything because life is hard in general. Like no one's going to be like, oh yeah, I love every part of my life. Like cleaning the toilets. Oh, great. I love that so much. No, I'm saying right now in society, the idea thrust upon couples, not even just women, not just men, couples, people who are choosing to be together. I will talk to couples about, hey, are you guys going to have kids? They're in their late 20s and they're like, no, I don't want my life to be over. Why does your life have to be over? Why can't you look at this as a new journey? My mom traveled the world with 2 kids and a dog.
Education.
Let's hear from Brent.
That is abstinence only education. That is literally propaganda that they have been fed by the school system growing up. That's why they're saying it like that. It's not true. You know it's not true. I know it's not true. But that's why.
No, I know, but it is being thrust upon a lot of people. And it is like this societal model that we are being presented,
because
as a young person. I don't
sex
know
young.
how old everyone is.
Hold on. Are you a Christian person?
Me? No,
Yeah.
I'm like nothing. I'm like, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm agnostic,
I'm sorry.
I
So I'm
guess.
just trying to understand this. Okay. So when you have children, the life that you lived before is over. You have a new set of responsibilities. You have a new set of risks.
So is that why you abandoned your child, Destiny? Is that why? Because you had to play StarCraft? Do you see why we don't want to base our society on what this kind of people think?
That you can and cannot take, and you have a new direction that you have to go down in your life. It's a new journey that you take. This, if you believe in a structure of a family, you necessarily believe that this is the case when you have children. If you're a couple, you make a lot of money. Is it DINK? They call it dual income, no kids. You're traveling like once every 3 months to go out of the country and everything. If you have children, that life ends. Now, some people make that
It
choice.
doesn't have to. I don't agree with that. I know
You're just wrong. You can disagree if you want, but you're just wrong.
It is
People
not irresponsible to
Steven
travel
is
with a
right on
kid.
this. Here's the thing. It's not about women's fulfillment. And the other thing is it's also not an individual society. I'll just say it very plainly. It's not a question of are women happy, not happy, are they fulfilled, not fulfilled. The feminist society isn't working. And we know that it's not working because of one reason alone. Family formation is not happening. The fertility rate is below the replacement level. Society is not regenerating itself. You could say that maybe the best metric, the surest metric, maybe the most relevant or one of the only relevant metrics is, are men and women getting together and forming families successfully, staying together and having kids, because that is what you need to perpetuate the society. That is what you need to imbue culture from one generation to the next. That's what you need to have a next generation, is for men and women to get together. And ever since, and you can see this across the developed world, and some people say this is because of the economy. Some people say this is because of technology, but and certainly those things correlate. The fact is that all of these societies where women have this role in the workplace, where women are being educated, where there's co-ed workplaces and education, families are not being formed and the next generation is not proceeding. Now, the same cannot be said in the Middle East. The same cannot be said in Africa. Same cannot be said, well, increasingly it is, but historically in Latin America. The feminist idea is failing basically on that metric alone. And so if you have a society that's blowing up and exploding because it's shrinking every year, because men and women are not getting together, because women are going out and exploring work and men are not interested in that, and then they're not forming families and not having kids, you don't have a society. That is the quintessential problem. And why are you having that problem? You're having that problem because men and women need to be getting together when they're fertile.
Nick,
and the
why
thing
do you
is,
want to live in the Middle East?
Wait, hold on, no, stop. Why do you think
honestly, I would. I said that on my show last week. They're building the line in Saudi Arabia. It sounds awesome. There's no alcohol. Women can't drive. You're forced to wear burqas.
So you are
it's a
moving
super
there.
city.
Okay.
Yeah, I would.
hold on.
If you're a Christian, I would be fine with that.
Cool.
Also, you interrupted
I'm with
me.
Nick on that, actually.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
but Nick, wait 1 second. So Nick, so Japan has a lower birth rate than the United States does, right? They also have a very patriarchal society, right? That does push women into, I think, traditional Japanese roles, right? That are I think pretty similar to like traditional Western roles. So why do you think their birth rate, given that they have a much more patriarchal society that is being enforced, why do you think their birth rate is so much lower than ours?
I don't think that's entirely true. I think that women are working in Japan, and I don't really know that
It's
much
just
about
the fact
Japan.
that they're working. Like that's it.
Well, isn't that kind of the question of this debate?
It's
Is the role
not.
of women in
Why do you
society?
think-
It's not, though.
Women are, yes, it
okay.
absolutely is. If women are, you just talked about women being given the option to be educated and work, and you say it's not relevant if women are to a large extent being educated and working in Japan. That's the principle. That is one of the things that defines modernity, along with technology, along with education. It is the expansion of the role of women. That's how you classify it. That's why we say Africa's primitive.
I think when we talk about this,
bigger
I think
predictor is the
there-
welfare state.
Hang on. Destiny, I think you severely underestimate the extent to which the population is shrinking. In the United States, the only reason that our demographic collapse is not moving very quickly is because it's being offset by a massive amount of immigration every year. That's a separate thing about population refreshment or replacement. But if we didn't have that, if you look at the white birth rate, it's far lower than the combined birth rate of the minority non-white populations. It's being offset by immigration. Japan is in a
James, this is
demographic
verging
crisis.
on hate
And,
speech.
I don't know how many years. That's not hate speech. I don't know how many years in the it's just math. I don't know how many years in the future it will take for Canada and Japan and China to have no children, but the population reduction is significant. And the point is not to say, well, we need to do this so society is a certain kind of size. In terms of rate, this is a good metric of whether a society is succeeding. If you could say that male and female relationships are good and optimal, you'll say that families are being formed because that means that they're attracting each other and having children. If they're not doing that, then the relationships are poor. And the point is simply to say there are consequences for saying we'll just give women these menu options and women can pick what they like. That's fine and well, but we tried that and now it's having society-wide consequences.
Wow. Guys, let me know in the comments what you think. If you agree or disagree with Nick, maybe you agree with Destiny. Leave a like if you want to. Christ is King and God bless you.